Football made in Germany this morning. How about this? What a way to end the second quarter. Maybe the Dolphins get in the end zone. Maybe they don't. Maybe Tyreek Hill fumbles. Maybe somehow the ball gets to Brian Cook. And then the fastest team in football cannot catch Brian Cook. It was a blowout in the making. But don't look now. Actually, you should look. We're going to show it to you. Here comes Raheem Mostert. Yes, he is that fast. Raheem Mostert into the end zone, and we have got a game. We're into the fourth quarter. It's live on NFL Network. It's live on NFL Plus. It's the Chiefs leading the Dolphins 21-14. Welcome to NFL Game Day Preview. We know you're watching that game. In all likelihood, this is the NFL channel. This is your second screen pregame, if you will, and we're happy to be here for the rest of Week 9. Cynthia Freeland, Steve White, Marcus Grant Offset. He joins us shortly with Fantasy. My name is Andrew Siciliano. Happy Week 9 to you and yours.
Officially more than halfway.
Officially more than halfway. We still don't know a lot.
There's no halfway point.
Still don't know a lot. But I love this weekend. I love some of the games this weekend.
It's a great weekend, not just this game, which is our weekly game of the year. And right now, the Chiefs have the lead. We'll keep you updated throughout our show, an hour away from kickoff for the rest of the schedule. Here's who is up and here's who is down. Kyler Murray, we knew wasn't going to go. Clayton Tune got that nod yesterday. He is starting for the Cardinals in Cleveland. Justin Fields, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Vita Vea, and Marcus Williams among these headlines. Let's start with Tom Pelissero on Matthew Stafford. Tom joins us, our NFL Network insider here. There was some concern, obviously, about whether or not Stafford's thumb would be okay. And Sean McVay, Tom, said on Wednesday that they might take it right up until kickoff. Evidently, he still can't grip a football.
Well, Andrew, the Rams had a pretty good idea by last night, and really throughout the course of the week, that it was going to be Brett Rippon getting the start today against the Packers. As you mentioned, it was about grip strength. It was about getting the swelling out of that thumb. He's dealing with what Sean McVay has said is a UCL sprain in the thumb on his throwing hand. That creates a lot of different challenges for a quarterback. We know how tough Matthew Stafford is. Frankly, if this were any other quarterback, we would have ruled him out days ago. But it's Stafford, you know that he wants to go. Just was not possible. So Rippon gets his fourth career start and first in a Rams uniform. Meanwhile, for the Browns going up against the Cardinals, it is Deshaun Watson getting the start today. He is back into the lineup after missing a good chunk of the season here because of that rotator cuff injury that he has in his throwing shoulder. Now, my understanding is Watson took the majority of reps on Wednesday and Thursday. He took all the reps on Friday, and he looked like Deshaun Watson. This is not a couple of weeks ago when he wasn't 100%, tried to go out there against the Colts, and then got knocked out of that game early. Now, I don't anticipate the Browns throwing the ball 50 times today. They want to have a balanced type of attack. But I'm also told coaches don't think that they need to scheme around Watson and his injury. Finally, after a long wait, they feel like Deshaun Watson's ready to roll.
All right, they didn't make a trade. They're ready to go with Deshaun Watson. The question, as you and I discussed on Friday, is he going to start? It's really, can he finish, as you said, and how does he look? Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the rookie who got the start when Watson couldn't go against the Browns now 6 weeks ago, is the third emergency quarterback, if needed, today behind P.J. Walker. Thank you, Tom. And it is a bizarre week of starting quarterbacks. If you include Will Levis on Thursday for the Titans, there are 7 rookies starting this week, 6 of them starting today, 2 of those 6 making their first starts. Clayton Tune, as mentioned, and fellow fifth-round pick Jaron Hall from BYU starting today for the Vikings in place of the injured Kirk Cousins, who is now done for the year with the Achilles injury. What a week of games it is, including this one later on today in the 4 p.m. Eastern time window on Fox. The Cowboys, the Eagles, the first of, for now, a scheduled 2.
Any hype around this game?
No, none.
Any noise?
If you love NFL football, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Pandemonium.
You're going Dallas. Dallas, we hate you.
Coming up the right side. Dorsett, and he's gone. Tony Dorsett, touchdown.
Buddy Ryan may have just become Texas's public enemy #1. If there wasn't bad blood before, there's going to be bad blood now.
I would have said something to Buddy, but he wouldn't stand on the field long enough. He put his big fat rear end into the dressing room.
I resent that. I've been on a diet. I lost a couple of pounds, and I thought I was looking good.
I got to tell you what a joy it is to come to Philadelphia and dodge ice balls, about 25 of which have been thrown into the booth in the last 3 minutes.
He's sacked. Reggie White. Look out. Deion's got the interception.
Touchdown, Emmitt Smith. Aikman to Irvin. The Eagles lead 41-3. The Cowboys conclusively the superior team.
This is like a heavyweight brawl.
Yeah, to answer your question there, Weiss, no, there is no hype on this game.
No, not at all.
Nah. I said the first of a scheduled 2. Yeah, maybe they do meet again in the postseason in January. Week 14 would be round 2, at least scheduled. And Jerry Jones said this week, it's not a playoff game, but, right? It's not a playoff game, but yet it kind of is. Tell me about the Eagles wide receivers and how well they're playing.
Yeah, look, we know A.J. Brown is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I mean, people are talking about him as being a potential MVP right now. And I'm interested to see how Dallas is going to cover him, because the last 2 times the teams have played, they've been murked by Devontae Smith, the other wide receiver who've been waiting to go off. So are the Cowboys, who have a ton of good players in their secondary, going to give Brown all the attention he deserves and say, let Smith beat us? Are they going to dedicate attention to both of them and open up the field for Dallas Goedert? This is going to be very intriguing, especially if they can run the ball. And this is why I think Dallas's defense, which we know is very, very good, is going to face a matchup that's going to put pressure on them like they haven't seen so far this season.
And Dallas's defense did the job last week against a banged-up Matthew Stafford in the second half. Eventually, Brett Rippon had to come in, and he is starting today. A.J. Brown had that ridiculous catch last week, which is going to be on the season in 6 and every major highlight reel when we look back on this season. But CeeDee Lamb had himself a game last week as well, Cindy.
And he didn't just line up in the slot. It's kind of amazing, right? We've seen a lot of yards out of the slot. Last year, he actually led in yards out of the slot. This year, he's lining up outside. And that diversity creates a whole new problem for the Eagles defense to contend with, especially as we're seeing Dak Prescott throw shorter but more efficient, higher completion percentage passes, and CeeDee just being this mismatch, either one.
I've heard it both ways.
I've heard it all of the different ways, all over the field. So not only can they find that nice way, like if Kevin Byard's there now, right, so you can't exploit their safeties, you might have to find a good match on the outside as well.
But Dallas' speed, I think CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks right here, could be a factor in this game, because the one question you have about the Eagles secondary is the overall speed back there.
You mentioned Brandon Cooks. I almost put him in my lineup today as my 3rd wide receiver.
That just means that he's going to have 3 touchdowns.
You got to ask
Marcus.
Marcus,
I did Mac Hollins instead. We'll work this out coming up in a little bit.
Okay. All right.
I mentioned they face again week 14. Play again week 14. Can we throw up the Eagles schedule here? Look at this ridiculous schedule. They get the Chiefs, the Bills, the Niners, the Cowboys, the Seahawks. They get 5 consecutive games there, where you could argue all 5 of those teams are conference championship game worthy.
Yes.
Those 5 in a row. You get the Giants there 2 out of 3 to close. But this is a murderous stretch here for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles need to get this
That's
game.
not an easy schedule.
Yeah, they need to get this game big.
So that game is amazing in the late window. This game is amazing as well. Can we go to Baltimore? Because this game, any other week, would be the game of the week. It's Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. They are 6-2. They are the 4 seed leading the AFC North right now. And the Seahawks coming in at 5-2 as the 3 seed, leading. Hi there, Sherry Burrs, live in Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium, leading now the NFC West. Let's start with that Ravens defense here, facing Geno Smith and what the Seahawks are bringing to town. A Ravens defense that is kind of matchup based, and however, or whatever you bring to town, Mike McDonald has been finding a way of late.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the game of the week here, Andrew. I got to let you know now that this bowl was defense match was the best.
All right, having some trouble there with Sherry's audio at M&T Bank Stadium, but we're talking there about the Ravens offensively. Gus Edwards got it going last week. Huge game for the Ravens as they won. They hung on despite the late onside kick try there by the Cardinals, and they beat Arizona. Seahawks run defense against that Ravens offense.
I think this is the perfect match. We know how good Baltimore is running the football with Gus Edwards, with Lamar Jackson. But you look at Seattle, they're limiting their opponents to less than 4 yards per carry. Now they add Leonard Williams to this defensive front. So now they got rotational depth and excellent front line depth. And they are keeping their linebackers clean. Jordan Brooks and Bobby Wagner are both having Pro Bowl type seasons. Bobby Wagner, 76 tackles, coming off of a 13-tackle game last week. Jordan Brooks, 67 tackles. These are guys that you can use to semi-spy Lamar Jackson, to do things in this RPO game. So this is going to be a tough matchup for Baltimore. Again, what they like to do on the ground. And I really like the addition of Leonard Williams for this type of game and moving forward for the Seahawks.
Cynthia, help me figure out Geno Smith right now, because they're winning, right? He played well in the first quarter last week, had the big drive in the fourth quarter when needed, and they beat the Browns. But he has 2 or more turnovers in 3 consecutive games. He has a turnover in 4 straight games. Yet here they are leading the NFC West.
Well, maybe it's something to do with like Shane Waldron, his offensive coordinator. This is possibly a chess match between future head coaches. You talk about Mike McDonald. Shane Waldron should be in that conversation as well. If you look at how Geno Smith's been targeting his wide receivers, especially in this game against a Ravens defense that they lead the league in sacks, and also they're really good at stopping the run, so it's not going to be as easy for Kenneth Walker to get him those extra yards. You're going to need Geno to use play-action passing. Let's do that, because that's where he's been most effective, most efficient, and that's where we've actually seen Jackson Smith and Jigba come on really strong. We know who Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf were before the season, but all 3 of those guys can be a complete mismatch. We're going back to that.
There we go. Well done.
Back to the mismatch.
You nailed it.
And making sure that they get their nice opportunities in the end zone.
These are the top 2 scoring defenses in the NFL since week 4, believe it or not. So since September, these are the best 2 scoring Ds in football. This is a great game.
Yes, it is.
Seahawks
You know what?
and the Ravens.
If you were to date today, this ranks as my number 3 most likely Super Bowl matchup.
Ooh.
In other words, Vegas on the mind today.
That's good stuff right there.
In Baltimore. You know, there's another great game later as well today between the Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. Is that a AFC Championship game preview as well? We're going to check in on that one straight ahead and remind you that when we're done here at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, keep it on the NFL channel, because you get Game Center, everything you need for all those games all day.
started from the jump. We got unfinished business with these dudes. Let's go. This is what we live for.
Touchdown. 2 wide-open scores on each of Cincinnati's first 2 drives.
Come on, weather the storm. Come on now.
In and out of the hands of Stephon Diggs.
A little frustration here. Diggs wants to win.
It is all going wrong for Buffalo.
Gonna launch it deep downfield. Intercepted. The Bengals are heading to Kansas City.
Back then, they were saying if it wasn't snowing, they would have beat us. So we here now. We're going to see what the outcome is.
Man, the history between these two teams over the last year, whether it was the DeMar Hamlin game or the playoff whooping in the snow in Buffalo, there's a lot going on tonight on NBC. The Bills, the Bengals, all the talk about, well, if the weather, if it hadn't been snow, look, it's going to be 49 and clear tonight. Football weather for a possible AFC Championship game preview. Cynthia Freeland, Steve White, my name is Andrew Siciliano. Do we get a repeat of that game in January?
This is one, Andrew, I'm looking at it, and it seems like matchup-wise, we potentially could, because you look at the way the Bengals and Joe Burrow, the way they looked last week against San Francisco, and the way they can get the ball downfield, a variety of receivers. We know the Bills can let that ball get behind them on defense. The other safety play is excellent, but at the corners, they can let guys get behind them. We saw last week how good Joe Burrow was getting that ball to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and players like that. That could happen. Then also, the Bengals defense right now, they are getting takeaways and they are getting pressures on the quarterback. So we're going to see plays like this tonight. That's going to happen regardless if Josh Allen makes plays or not. That Bengals D and Lou Anarumo is really tuned things up the last 3 games.
And we saw that especially last week in San Francisco against Brock Purdy. Also last week, Bills are well rested. They had the mini bye. On Thursday, we saw Josh Allen activate legs game
mode.
Red zone.
Yep.
Josh Allen and the crowd, Cynthia, in Buffalo, you're there in the preseason, got energized. It's that Sean McDermott said we're not going to do it in the preseason. We're going to be careful with Josh. And then all of a sudden, week 8, what the hell? Just do it. Do it. Right?
I mean, when you look at Josh Allen, he has the most throws, the most touchdowns, the most yards, all of that stuff on the run. Throwing on the run is his area. Now, if you look in the red zone specifically, I was surprised to find out that this season, Josh Allen is actually your most effective in terms of EPA, I mean expected points added, as well as all of the different metrics that the Next Gen Stats have at throwing in the red area. So the turnovers, while unfortunate, we talk about Josh Allen, everyone's like, he's a modern Favre, he's always going to throw it away, whatever. That is actually not the case in the red area, which is really important because as well as Lou Anarumo's defense has been playing, and they have been playing great, there are still some young guys on that team that are a bit inexperienced, especially at the safety position, and they've got some real game wreckers that could really go up against those safeties and match up well against them.
Wow, those young safeties, though, have been playing well. And
they're playing really well, but they haven't seen it all yet.
Yeah, the Bengals linebackers, too, man. I mean, we don't talk about Logan Wilson enough.
We don't.
The best
he had a
linebackers
pick last week.
Yeah, I mean, he's been great for two years now. We got to start talking about him as one of the better players in the league.
Yeah, this one will be fun. This one under the lights. It deserves the primetime spot here. And one of the ones you circle before the season, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen on the field together here as we have a possible AFC Championship game preview. They've given us playoff classics in the past. Is this going to be a classic? I don't know. I think it's going to be fun, though. Josh McDaniels was fired this week.
Antonio this is Pierce. A classic?
Look, this game's going to be fun, White. Antonio Pierce takes over as interim head coach of the Raiders, and it is in his blood.
The short story, the matter of fact, is I grew up in Compton, California. I was born a Raider. I was born with the Raiders rolling in the Coliseum in L.A. I was rolling with NWA, talking straight out of Compton, rocking Raider hats. So when the opportunity came to work with Josh and Pat Graham and Dave, I jumped on it. So that's what set me up for this. I was born this way.
A couple of things here. Number one, Antonio Pierce was there with Champ Kelly, who's the new interim GM. Number two, they're going to go with the rookie quarterback Aiden O'Connell, who has started one game this year when Jimmy Garoppolo was injured here in L.A. Number three, Straight Outta Compton was great, but NWA and the Posse, the earlier album, gets overlooked now. It gets overlooked. I recommend you go back and check that out because the DOC is on that one as well. Cynthia, you and Antonio Pierce go way back.
Mm-hmm. My best friend from college, Matthias Kiwanuka, played on that Giants defense, Super Bowl winning Giants defense with Antonio Pierce, and I would run through a wall for him. At 120 pounds, I would come at some quarterback for him. He is that inspirational. When you talk to him, he really is a good mix of being a leader and a teacher and leveraging the fact that he's been there, done that, really gone through a lot of different scenarios, and the players love that. They're going to absolutely, they're going to all want, I mean, I think Devontae Adams said it already, how much he really enjoys him. So I'm telling you that this is a guy who, and he's getting a real chance. It's week 9. So this is a guy who, it's not like last year there was a guy who came off TV, former player.
Right.
It didn't like that.
But the Raiders lost.
But hold on, that guy Jeff Saturday went to Vegas and beat the Raiders.
Okay, details. But
Yes.
but the Antonio Pierce, does he beat his own team? I don't know, the Giants. It's all very poetic there. But when you're talking about him, I mean, he is just, it's going to be a lot better. If you're a Raiders fan, there's so much hope here. This is a dude. Like, you just, like, I can't say enough good things about him. He's wonderful.
And I love him. I know him well, too. And I love him. And you've seen a lot of the reaction to him. And so they should get a big emotional burst out of this game today. But, you know, they also are starting to mention Aiden O'Connell, the rookie quarterback, and they like him because he gets the ball to Devontae Adams when he plays. He is going to see some stuff defensively from Wink Martindale. He's going to throw the kitchen sink at him. I mean, we know Wink Martindale runs a million different defenses. They're going to come with a lot of different pressures. And so the one thing that's interesting is Bo Hardegree is now going to be the play caller. Scott Turner is going to help him, the old Washington OC, in doing this. But this is the first time for Bo Hardegree in this type of role. They've had a lot of changes there, and the voices that have been in Aiden O'Connell's ear are gone. And that is Josh McDaniels and that is Mick Lombardi. So we'll see how this works. But I do expect an emotional spike. I've covered this game long enough to know when there's changes like this, you do get that because players know they cost someone or someone cost themselves a job, whatever, but it's on them now to perform. Josh Jacobs going to get a heavy dose as well.
And we should note that Daniel Jones is back, expected to go here for the Giants. Tyrod Taylor was put on IR yesterday, so he's getting shut down for a while. Daniel Jones rejoins an offense that is averaging 11.9 points a game. Collectively, they are.
Not good.
11.9, which
Not a
is
good
the
number.
lowest scoring team in the NFL and one of the lowest scoring Giants teams since before World War II. True story. That's Deshaun Watson on the field in Cleveland. He's going to start. Can he finish? That is the question today. NFL Game Day preview rolls on. You're watching NFL Game Day Preview. You're looking at some of the fits, looking at some of the warm-ups, the arrivals here as guys show up for work week number 9. You're also looking at a random tweet there of Jason Kelsey and dry fit there in front of his locker. But hey, whatever. Also a salute to Service Week. You see the elf, Brownie the elf, is in camo in Cleveland. We're not in camo, but we're happy that you're here regardless. Welcome to NFL Game Day Preview on the NFL channel. Andrew Siciliano and Marcus Grant. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
How's your fantasy team so far today?
So far, yeah, I got off to a good start. Had DeAndre Hopkins over the week, on Thursday night, so we're off to a good start this week.
All right, Tyreek Hill, thanks for that fumble. Marcus every week gives us players that you must have in your lineup. Your quarterback today is whom?
It's Rain Dakota Prescott. And I know the last few weeks we've sort of been kind of waffling on
Right,
Dak.
he's been the guy you got to bench.
Right, he's been the guy that we're staying away from. But this week I like Dak Prescott. I know you guys talked about it earlier as a big game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And for as good as the Eagles are, they have been giving up some yards through the air. And over his last few matchups, Dak's been really good against this Eagles team, averaging nearly 300 passing yards per game, 11 total touchdowns, 1 interception. I think he keeps it rolling against it.
All right, Dak Prescott in the late 4 p.m. Eastern time window against the Eagles. You are taking a Colts running back as your must-start running back today, but his name is
Zach Moss.
Interesting.
Although I will say this is not in lieu of Jonathan Taylor. This is in addition to Jonathan Taylor, because both these guys have been very effective so far this season. We didn't know how it was going to go with Taylor starting to get more work, but Shane Steichen sort of admitted like the reason he hasn't given all of the workload over to Jonathan Taylor is because Zach Moss has been so effective. You combine that with a Panthers run defense that has been awful all year long, and Zach Moss has a lot of fantasy value this week.
Jonathan Taylor last week saw his usage in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter, fall off a cliff. Now, often when you go, what's my number one wideout today, the guy that I have to play, it's tied to the quarterback. This one, because of that, surprised me.
It's Garrett Wilson, and it's a little bit tied to the quarterback, but more tied to the matchup right now. It's going against the Chargers, and that secondary has had some issues all year long. Although I will say this, the last 2 weeks, it does seem like Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson are vibing a little bit more. They've connected for about 15 catches, nearly 200 yards over the last couple of weeks, 25 targets for Wilson in the last 2 games. So it does seem like the quarterback has figured out where his bread is buttered in the passing game.
Okay, Garrett Wilson is your wide receiver. Your tight end, Marcus, is
Dalton Kincaid.
Interesting.
And, this has sort of been building for a lot of us. I mean, when he was drafted, scored last week. When he was drafted, we thought, okay, this is going to be the guy of the future there in Buffalo. And obviously, he was splitting time with Dawson Knox early in the season. Now that Knox is on injured reserve, things have opened up. You mentioned he scored last week. And the Bengals have been vulnerable against tight ends. So I do think he's going to get a whole lot of opportunity. Plus, look, at fantasy tight end, the bar for success is a lot lower than it is at other positions.
And look at Travis Kelce here today. Obviously, you can't do it every single week. Running back, I'm sorry, the player to avoid today is a running back.
Yeah, it's Tony Pollard, and this isn't maybe a straight avoid as much as it is just like kind of be concerned about him because he's getting the volume we want. He just hasn't really been efficient running or catching the football. The Eagles, for all their issues in the secondary, have been very good against the run. So I think it's hard to completely get away from Tony Pollard in your lineup, but this is sort of a beware kind of message about him this week.
By the way, those are great shoes.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Those are fantastic. We got to talk about that after the show. I get it. You got to send me a link. All right. Marcus Grant, everybody, who is on the NFL Fantasy Football Show right here on the NFL channel. Same link. Just go back to it. Hit refresh on your browser. Mondays and Wednesdays. Thank you, Marcus. Coming up, has Kirk Cousins played his final game as a Minnesota Viking? And what we know about the guy who is starting in his place today against the Falcons. Don't go anywhere. It's NFL Game Day kickoff, everybody. We're about a half hour away from the 1 o'clock kicks. This happened a week ago today. Kirk Cousins, torn Achilles. You knew it when it happened, and it made you sick. He is done for the year. Here is his head coach, Kevin O'Connell, earlier this week talking this year and maybe next.
There's no doubt about it. We're going to miss him. My expectations are, and I've, in my dialogue briefly with Kirk, since yesterday, he has every intent of still being a major part of our leadership, a part of the quarterback room, a part of our offense, a part of our plans each week schematically, like he's been right there every step of the way. And quite honestly, I don't expect anything less from Kirk being the man and the leader that he is.
And remember, Cousins is a free agent at the end of the year. His quarterback replacement today is Jaren Hall, who will likely be throwing a lot to fellow rookie Jordan Addison from USC, who truly has come on of late with the Justin Jefferson injury. Addison wearing the Kirk Cousins shirt there. Ahead of a game that is really interesting because, Steve, I'm not going to say the playoffs started today, but I will say that this is a division leader at 4-4, the Atlanta Falcons, on the road against a team that right now has a wild card spot with the Vikings as the 7 seed here. And we have the Falcons also changing quarterbacks today.
Yeah, how about that? You got the Jaren Hall Taylor Heineke Bowl. But first off, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, don't you feel like the homecoming opponent? Because in back-to-back weeks, you're facing rookie quarterbacks making their first starts, and you got lit up
in
by
the
Will
NFC
Levis.
North.
Yeah, and you got lit up by Will Levis last week. But, I mean, this is one here where I think Taylor Heineke, let's look what the Falcons want to do. They do have a gunslinger type of quarterback coming in. And we saw him in Washington. He is someone who is not afraid to take chances with throws, not afraid to take off and run with it. The only issue is he does put the ball in harm's way by doing that. He had a season a couple years ago, 15 interceptions, and we know the Vikings lately have been taking the ball away, so he's got to be careful with it. But I do think you're going to see the play calling be a little bit more aggressive and maybe not as ground heavy with Heineke in the lineup.
I love that. On the other side, obviously the Falcons defense here with Jaren Hall. Sometimes it's confusing when you don't know what's going to go on with this quarterback and to change a quarterback, but this defense is playing really well. The acquisition of Jesse Bates this past offseason was one of the best in the entire free agent period. You also have A.J. Terrell, who I think we don't talk about him enough as being one of those top-tier elite corners, but he's just been playing lights out. Calais Campbell and his nice voice. I love when they're all back and healthy in the lineup.
Nice
I love his voice. When he comes in here and hangs out with us, and the January editions when he was past other teams, he'd come in for the January edition of the Game Day Morning. It was just so fun to hear him and Irv be like, "You know it," with their voice. It was great.
It's funny you say that. I was on a flight with Calais Campbell years ago, and he asked for a glass of water, and it basically shook the cabin. Right? And I looked at him and I said, "Dude, you need to do voiceovers."
He does.
An hour later, he looks back at me and he goes, "You really think I could do that?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, you should
100%
do that."
Yes.
He's going to be chasing Marcus, as we mentioned, a rookie quarterback in Jaren Hall, 5th-round pick. I'm checking it here. Pick 164. Had a nice career at BYU, especially a nice senior season. He was really good on his own right now. He's kind of known as Puka Nakua's quarterback in college.
Yeah, he was. And this is going to be a short-term audition for him, right? Because they go out and they get Josh Dobbs. He's going to be the starter going forward. But this is a chance to sort of, make a mark here. And as Cynthia mentioned, we don't really know what we're going to get out of him. A good college career, but he does have guys to get the football to, whether it's Jordan Addison, whether it's T.J. Hawkinson, on a team that has struggled to run the football. So this is a real opportunity for Jaren Hall, maybe if not for later on this season, but for the future to sort of establish himself in this offense.
And his starting left tackle, though, Christian Darrisaw.
Great point.
Down today.
Yes. Yeah.
So we'll see if the Falcons' edge rushers, who really have not been able to win much, get pressure on him.
And interior offensive lineman, a backup, Ezra Cleveland was traded this week from the Vikings to the Jaguars. Dalton Reisner now in that starting lineup. Time, everybody, for your favorite game the Sunday. Who scores? Presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's do an early game here. Take a look at a same-game parlay, which is available on DraftKings. This one for the Bucks and the Texans. Pretty reasonable days from Baker Mayfield, Rashad White. You got the odds and lines right here. All right. Texans and the Buccaneers for your same-game parlay. White, who you like here for scoring?
He's only gotten the end zone once this season, but I like tight end Cade Otton for the Buccaneers. to get into the end zone. You see him here in the middle of the field where he's done most of his work this season. But in the red zone, he's somebody who's a threat. They just haven't gotten it to him down there yet this year.
Okay, Cynthia, let's play the same game. Who scores? But let's make it at Lambeau. Rams, Packers. Who you like?
Cooper Kupp. I know, Brett Rippon. He's the quarterback. I understand that's a different change, and it's going to be a little bit scarier for Rams fans. But Cooper Kupp, his ability to earn yards after the catch, make things this masterful chess piece for Sean McVay. So just figure it out, get him the ball. It could be a 3-yard pass. He could take it to the house. It doesn't even matter. Cooper Kupp.
Dresser Wynn, that's a real name.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is the Rams' number 2 quarterback today. He's an undrafted rookie. Cardinals and the Browns. Marcus, who scores there?
Kareem Hunt is going to be the guy who scores. He's the guy who's getting the goal line work in this offense right now. It's been, whether it's him and Jerome Ford or Pierre Strong or whoever it is, it's been a rotation in the backfield. But when the Browns get close, it's Kareem Hunt that's been on the field, especially against a poor Cardinals run defense. I expect he's going to get in the end zone.
I have an extra note here.
Yes.
We talked about Odell earlier, and it's been
His birthday.
It's his birthday, and it's been a long time since he scored a touchdown. Andy's a little mad. I'm going to go with 2 scores today. And
Okay,
I'm gonna add
so that is a bonus score.
That one's like a real, if I get that right, then I feel like everyone has to bake me a cake. That's a good one.
The sponsor's going to love that one.
Cynthia's groveling.
But I just feel I want a cake. I just want some cake.
We all like cake. DraftKings Sportsbook. This season, new customers can bet $5 and pocket $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every day. Download the app and use the promo code GAME when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Watching NFL Game Day preview. The crown in Frankfurt belongs to the Kansas City Chiefs. On a 4th down with Tua driving down the field. The botch snap. And that's how it ends. Hugs for everyone wearing red and a Chiefs fan in Germany. Chiefs beat the Dolphins 21-14. All right, everybody, you're watching NFL Game Day Preview on the NFL channel. As we told you earlier, it is now over in Frankfurt, an AFC Championship game preview. Maybe Tua and Mahomes and Rashee Rice getting in the end zone first, guys.
And that was a huge play. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs got over to Germany late, and they came out on fire. Mahomes spread the ball all over the place, and Rice getting into the end zone.
Love the early morning football. Love the early offense as well for the Chiefs. Something we didn't see last week, Cynthia. This time it's Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, Jerick McKinnon, right? Jet is his nickname. You want to know a German word for that? Flug. It's like airplane.
Is that like Lufthansa or Luft?
Yeah, Flug. Hey, the Flug scored.
All right, so, and the Chiefs also scored defensively right before the half. I mean, this was a gut punch, Marcus. The Tyreek Hill fumble, great strip by McDuffie, and Brian Cook can run.
Absolutely can run, and we're so used to the Chiefs putting up big points on offense, but really it's Spagnuolo and that defense that might be the headliners for this Chiefs team this year.
But did he complete that pass?
Yeah.
That's the question. That's the question. Not so sure, but they counted it.
Can I ask this? Can the fastest team in football catch Brian Cook?
No.
Really not.
Okay.
We watched that. Definitive video evidence that they cannot.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's 21-0 at the half. First time Mike McDaniel's been shut out at the half. But eventually, Tua got it going. The jump ball to Cedric Wilson. We got a game.
Cedric Wilson was one of those high-priced free agents that everyone was after. What used to be a Dallas Cowboy, and I mean, now he's a really good Dolphin.
His daddy was good as well. 21-7 here with 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Mahomes avoiding pressure on third down, 3rd and 20. Coughed the football up, and the Dolphins have it inside the 30.
And it really seemed like the momentum was switching right here. You can see Kansas City's players starting to hang their heads down. The Dolphins said, we've got a chance to actually beat a good team.
Bradley Chubb got in there first and got his hand on the football. And then on first down, after picking up a first down, Raheem Mostert high steps into the end zone. Don't hurt any foreign fans, please. That one hit the wall, we think. It's 21-14.
Okay,
all right.
Okay to hurt U.S. fans.
Or any fans. No, we don't want any fans hurt in making up this highlight. On 3rd and 1 here, Mahomes has nowhere to go. Look at the clock. Look at the timeouts. Dolphins have 2 plus the 2-minute warning.
There's a gleam.
4th down. They force the snap, and they are going to get the ball back. This is it, the play we showed you earlier. 1:03 to go from the 31. Tua can't control the snap on 4th down.
Like a good snap. Tua just muffed it.
After timeout, the Chiefs showed
Let's give Spagnuolo some credit here for lining up 7, rushing set, like bringing the house.
Little to the right, little outside.
A little to the right, but he's got to make that play. I mean,
catchable ball.
Yeah,
catchable.
I mean, this is just something right now at that point in the game, you got to make the play.
Patrick's excited.
Yeah, Patrick is excited. They go all the way there. As you mentioned, they got there late in the week. The Dolphins had been there the entire week, so get rid of the narrative that you can't show up 48 hours before the game and win, because that's what the Chiefs just did. And the Chiefs go to 7-2. The Dolphins, meantime, fall to 6-3. I know a lot of people want to say what they want to say about the Dolphins. Let's focus here on the Chiefs first, if we could. Cynthia, this is huge, how they bounced back from really a disheartening performance last week in Denver. You knew the Broncos would eventually beat them, right?
Yeah, you can't win 17 times. It's really hard to beat someone 17 times.
Eventually, but the way it happened, the Chiefs, flu or no flu, just looked listless.
5 turnovers is not something you're used to from any Chiefs team, let alone this Chiefs team. But really, I think you talked about it. The defense is really the difference maker this season. We haven't seen the Chiefs score on offense as much or as often as we're used to from them. We haven't seen Patrick Mahomes with the deep passes. He's only completed 2 deep touchdowns after having 44 the past 3 seasons prior to that. So the intermediate pass, and that's actually where Rashee Rice becomes really impactful, that was actually something that we saw that's a little bit of a different wrinkle and fold. This gives them the opportunity, this massive win. Now they have their bye. This gives them an opportunity to really kind of figure out all of those things that Andy Reid's going to go into his little machine, you know, his little tinkering machine. And Andy Reid coming off a bye is undefeated, not, you know, almost, right? But ultimately they'll be able to figure out this offense a little bit now. It's kind of a perfect time for them.
And now for something completely different. The Miami Dolphins, because it wasn't different. They have played 3 good teams this year, the Bills, the Eagles, and now the Chiefs. Steve, they have lost to them all.
Yeah, and look, this is something, and Andrew, you know this. People from this coaching tree, the Shanahan, Sean McVay coaching tree, other than Kyle Shanahan, when they play physical football teams, it is tough for them, especially if they have to come from behind. Kansas City came out and slammed Miami in the mouth, and they had a tough time coming from behind. They're built like a dome team where they can get leads and turn everybody loose defensively with a lead. When they have to play from behind and go toe-to-toe, it is tough. And we saw it again today, but I want to give tremendous credit, like you guys were talking to, the Chiefs defense. They're the ones who forced a takeaway right before halftime to give that what turned out to be the winning score. Kansas City's offense only scored 14 points. So it was his Chiefs defense again, and Steve Spagnuolo, that carried them to this victory over Miami.
Yeah, and I'm just curious to see what this means, though, going forward, right? I mean, at some point, does it become mental now if you're the Dolphins? Here you are, you're 6-0 against teams with losing records, you're 0-3 against teams with winning records. Does this start to kind of set in at some point where when things go badly against a good team, do the Dolphins look around and say, oh, no, here we go again? So, while it is physical a lot of times, how much of it becomes mental now for the Dolphins?
Yeah.
And Jalen Ramsey lining up on Travis Kelce and really containing him to a not big game is huge for them, especially since I don't even know if Xavier Howard is completely healthy, but this is the first time we've seen Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey on the field at the same time. So that's a huge deal.
And it's not as if the Dolphins don't have good teams left on their schedule. They get the Ravens, they get the Cowboys, they get the Jets twice, and they get the Bills Week 18. That game, however, is in Miami. We got another game next week.
Let's go.
In Frankfurt.
Yes, sir.
The Colts, Gardner Minshew taking his van to Germany, everybody. And the Patriots, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, NFL Network. NFL Plus, plus.nfl.com. NFL Game Day kickoff bright and early as well to get you ready for that one. This is worth seeing again. What a bizarre week of starting quarterbacks it is. We have 6 rookies, 6 of them today on the schedule. 6 rookie quarterbacks. And if you throw in Will Levis back there on Thursday, 7 rookies who are starting in week number 9. All right, let's do some quick picks, everybody.
Wait,
One of those
Andrew,
rookie quarterbacks.
I gotta stop you here.
What?
You do radio calls masterfully.
Okay.
Like Clayton
Thank you,
Tune.
you're very nice.
You've been doing the Browns. What was if you were prepping for Clayton Tune, what would the
Trying to pick out of Houston, Clayton Tune?
Uh-huh.
Okay, what would be
Going up against the
if
Browns.
it were on Browns radio? It would probably sound like this: Clayton Tune touchdown.
Okay. No, you could be like Myles Garrett tuned him up.
Well, see if Myles Garrett had a strip sack, then yes, he tuned him up. I like
but
that.
what about
But
if
if it
you're
was
on
like
the-
Clayton Tune to
Arizona.
Marquise
Trey
Brown.
McBride down the seam, it would be Tune McBride.
Okay, no, but do it if you're the Cardinals.
Tune McBride. I just feel,
Singing a tune.
God, it feels so weird.
Okay, how would Ron Wolfley call it?
Well, all right, David. David, he tuned him up. All right,
we'll get through it quickly.
Yeah, we're making noises. All right, let's do some quick picks here, and we're going to start actually with the Bears and the Saints. Everybody, Cynthia here, is picking the Saints to beat one of those rookie quarterbacks, Tyson Bagent.
Talk about a person you should be starting in fantasy. Alvin Kamara, he's great for your regular lineup. He's great for DFS lineups. This is a guy who I expect to see the end zone possibly even twice in this matchup.
There are a lot of fleur-de-lis on the screen there. Commanders and Patriots. I'm going Pats. Cynthia's going Pats. Marcus is going Pats. Steve, you're going Commander.
Yeah, I don't see how the hell you guys are going Pats in this one because Sam Howell
was only sacked once last week.
Only sacked once last week. He's throwing the ball all over the field. I know you're probably saying, they traded away their edge rushers. They were still losing with those edge rushers. They're going to come out and put points up on a team that can't score.
Ramondre Stevenson, baby. Without those
can't
missing
score.
pieces.
Look,
They're still losing.
I wanted to take Commanders. I just have this Belichick, Sam Howell thing in my head that I can't get past. That's just me. All right, Colts and Panthers. Marcus, everyone here is
coaching him next year.
Yeah, we're all taking the Colts. I mentioned Zach Moss as a must-start running back, but Jonathan Taylor's been great as well. The Colts, I think, they've been run heavy. Gardner Minshew's been good enough, but this is a team, an offense that has run on the running backs. Taylor and Moss have been great for them.
Love me some Josh Downs as
been very,
well.
very good.
Rookie wide receiver
100%.
out of North Carolina. Bucky Brooks, hello. And he's been great on third down as well. You can follow that game. You can follow all the games as we are now inside of 7 minutes until kickoff at 1 o'clock. Game Center all day here on the NFL channel.
Let's get it, baby. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. 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 Let's win, man.
The third cameraman out there is Steve Smith, the one with the monster calves right here.
That's
Isn't that
crazy.
cool?
That is cool. That's really cool. I came to work today.
Fields heat up the middle.
Hey, you overpaid, man. Ringo.
You tried to hit me, and I went nowhere. It was like this.
Throw the back corner. It's Tyler Lockett. He's got it. Let's go, G. Let's go, G.
Great game, brother.
Great game, bro.
Stay healthy. Love
yes,
you.
Sir.
Keep doing your
Appreciate
thing.
you. I'm going to need that, too.
Much respect there, Bobby Wagner and Myles Garrett last week. Much respect for this guy as well. That is one Lamar Jackson, who is, although he didn't want to hear it this week. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Gino. My fault.
Gino.
My fault.
He didn't want to hear it
Gino.
either.
He didn't want to hear that he's 17-1, Lamar, against the NFC. That is Gino, as we have a first-place matchup here, guys. A first-place matchup between the Seahawks, Gino, and Lamar, the Ravens, in Baltimore. Cynthia, as for Lamar, NFC teams do have trouble with him.
Yeah,
and that's what was brought up this week.
Yeah.
Because, like, you haven't seen the guy before, and then you see him, and it's like, wow, okay, he's different.
Well, and also because typically the week before they're facing more of a pocket passer, and now they're going to go to this guy who is definitely not a great, only pocket passer. You have to respect the run here. But I will say that the Cardinals, they kept themselves really competitive in last week's matchup because they treated Lamar as if he were one of those prolific passers. Budda Baker turned into, monster safety. I don't know what his new nickname is, monster. It's a new position, monster, that Budda Baker was playing to really try to cover up any mistakes that secondary could be making against this passing offense. So when they're playing him and you're seeing teams who have success, they're giving him the treatment of a prolific passer as opposed to just saying, like the Lions did, we're going to stop the run and just let him pass all over.
Giving him the treatment, I love that, like giving him the business.
Giving him the treatment. Yeah.
Well, you know who doesn't treat teams like prolific passers, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. They lead the NFL with 31 sacks, and they're led by, and I got to credit our guy Brian Baldinger for hipping me this, to Justin Madubuike, who's the 5-technique defensive end in their scheme, kind of the off tackle. He's got 6.5 sacks. He is really wrecking shop from the inside and outside, a physical player. This is going to be tough for the Seahawks today and Geno Smith to get past this defense because their secondary covers, and you got a beast like Madubuike giving you some interior muscle to get to the quarterback.
And check out Baldy's breakdowns on that, by the way. He is fantastic on Monday, and sometimes he's in flip-flops and whatever. He's hysterical. He's also done a good one on Devin Witherspoon in that Seahawks secondary.
Yeah, and Witherspoon's played great this year. The numbers look great for the Seahawks secondary, but I'm not totally convinced when you go back and you look at their schedule. Look, they've gotten P.J. Walker. They've gotten Josh Dobbs, who was slumping. They got the Bengals when we were still worried about Joe Burrow's calf. This is the best offense they have faced since maybe going up against the Lions in week 2. So, look, I just need to see more proof. If they can slow down this Ravens offense, then I'll believe that this secondary really has it together. Otherwise, I'm not sure if they're not just a product of the schedule.
Jamal Adams is playing well now, too.
He is. Yes,
he is. Jamal Adams had the header on the interception that led to the game-winning touchdown last week. A header, right off his
like soccer.
All right, let's make some statements.
Foosball.
Sunday statements. They are bold predictions, if you will. White, hit me. What do you got?
Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals is going to have 2 sacks tonight's game against Buffalo.
Not one, but 2.
Multiple sacks.
2 sacks.
Hey, man, he's getting after
Trey.
He's getting after it. He's got a great season so far. I think he's got 8 sacks total. He's in a groove right now, and I don't think that stops.
Cynthia Freeland, make a statement.
I already said it once, and I'm going to say it again right now. Alvin Kamara, not 1, but 2 trips to the end zone against the Chicago Bears. I understand they got a little better on defense. Montez Sweat, a very high-paid, high-priced man.
Nice contract yesterday. Congratulations,
yes, congratulations
Montez.
to him. That's great, but there's still 10 other guys on the field, too, and I think Alvin Kamara sees the end zone twice.
Getting into the end zone, Alvin Kamara. Marcus Grant, make a statement.
My statement is that Davante Adams in the ultimate squeaky wheel game gets at least 15 targets in this one.
How many targets is he going to get? He's going to get all of them.
He's going to get all. I mean, look, it might not even be that bold. When Aiden O'Connell started in week 4, Adams got 13 targets in that one, so this would only be a couple above that. But it seems as though, at least temporarily, a weight has been lifted around the Las Vegas Raiders. They have a mini basketball hoop in the locker room now. Everything seems all good and kosher. So I know, Steve, you mentioned Josh Jacobs getting a lot of work. Davante Adams gets a lot of work today.
I'll make a mini statement off your statement. There is not going to be a shot of Davante Adams throwing his helmet on the bench this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can go with that.
Okay. And if there is,
things have gone really wrong.
It's gone badly.
It's gone really wrong.
Very, very quickly. And again, that is one of my favorite games. I love Aiden O'Connell. If you go back to the preseason, I know it's the preseason. See Dorian Thompson-Robinson against the Ravens. But Aiden O'Connell had one of those like Phil Simms games. Yeah. He was like 17 of 19, and the only 2 incompletions were drops. Again, the preseason, the kid can sling it, but he's also a statue. And Wink Martindale's going to light him up.
Light him up.
Yeah.
He is absolutely
When
a
I went
statue.
there for training camp, and Aiden O'Connell, they were teaching him how to handle the snap. So that's a little scary because a lot of guys in college, they don't line up under center.
First time play caller and everything too?
So it can be tough. So again, this is a new play caller. It's just a lot. So let's let's temper
Even more reason to throw it to number 17.
Right.
Spoiler up, Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
My Sunday statement is this. Oh, he's going to do it. Yeah. Aiden O'Connell, am I over here on one? There I am. Hi. Aiden O'Connell is going to light up the Giants.
What?
My Sunday statement last week, I gave you Will Levis, lover of mayonnaise, who is going to beat the Falcons. Aiden O'Connell, I don't care what he eats when it comes to condiments. I have no clue, honestly. But he's got a fantastic rookie, somewhat awkward mustache. He is going to beat the Giants today. You can take it to the Deutsche Bank there as we see the Chiefs beating the Dolphins.
Easy A.
NFL Game Day preview.
No
Enjoy the game.
Guten Nacht, everybody. Enjoy your football.